Boom. I'll tell you something they never wanted slipping through the cracks. A whisper meant to stay buried under their careful little stories. But secrets are restless creatures. They twitch, they crawl, they leak into the edges of your mind when you least expect it. And the moment you hear that tiny tremor, everything you thought was solid begins to tilt. Because the truth doesn't knock. It slides in uninvited and sits beside you like an old friend. You weren't meant to know someone edited the scene when you weren't looking. They adjusted the lighting, softened the blow, hiding their shame inside a smile they practiced too many times. Funny thing about guilt, it stains fingertips no matter how tightly they scrub. And while they tried to conceal what they did, the silence around their actions grew louder. Louder until it sounded like footsteps running away from their own shadow. They didn't protect you. No, they shielded themselves from the reflection they were terrified you'd see. That reflection rattled them. It shook the calm right out of their voice. So they made a move in the dark, hoping the story would never reach you. But the whisper traveled anyway. It slid through cracks, bounced around empty corridors, and found its way to your awareness like a flicker at the corner of your eye. Once you notice it, you can't unsee it. And now you know the truth. Someone tried to rewrite your place in their memory, tried to tuck their error under the rug and pretend the floor was still even. But floors creak under weight that wasn't meant to be carried. That sound, that subtle shift, that's what shook you awake. Not with fury, no, with clarity. A sharpness that cuts deeper than outrage ever could. You weren't the cause of their panic. You were the evidence of it. Every time they remembered your face, their breath shortened. Every time they recalled your silence, their pulse tightened. They thought shielding the truth would save them from consequence. But actions linger. They hang in the air long after the room is empty. And the whisper they tried to suffocate became your invitation to rise. There's a strange silence that follows when you step away. Not the gentle kind. Not the peaceful kind, the sharp kind that slices into people when they suddenly have to sit alone with what they tried to hide. Your absence wasn't emptiness, it was a reflection, a surface they could no longer distort. And the moment you stopped showing up, they were forced to see themselves without your patience softening the edges. That's when the echo began. The one they pretended they didn't hear. People fear what they see when no one is around to blame. That's the secret they won't admit. Your distance pinned them to their own story, like a spotlight with no filter. They saw the cracks, the shortcuts, the quiet betrayals they thought would fade. Without you standing in front of them, they couldn't redirect the glare. They couldn't twist the narrative. They had to look straight into the part of themselves they spent years avoiding. And that reflection, it wasn't kind. They never expected you to leave their orbit. They believed you'd stay close enough for them to disguise their discomfort behind small talk and half-truths. But when you went silent, everything shifted. Calm on your side, pressure on theirs. A weight they created, a tension they couldn't name. It gnawed at them, pulled at them, reminded them of the choice they made when they thought you weren't paying attention. Funny how distance reveals more than conversation ever could. Your absence spoke louder than confrontation. It told them you didn't need to argue. You didn't need to expose them. You didn't need to explain anything. All you did was remove your presence, and suddenly their confidence thinned. Their voice dimmed, their movement stiffened. Because when you're not there to absorb their discomfort, they're forced to swallow it themselves. And that taste, it lingers far longer than any accusation. They began noticing the small details they once ignored, the way their mind replayed your silence, the way their thoughts circled back to the moment they tried to shift blame, the way the air felt heavier without your patience balancing the room. You didn't chase clarity. You didn't demand answers. You simply walked away, and that quiet exit became their loud awakening. Absence turned into a mirror, and the reflection staring back wasn't flattering. Some masks don't break when you strike them. They break when you stop touching them. When you step away, the surface they crafted so carefully begins to tremble. Your silence becomes pressure. Your distance becomes gravity. And the mask they once wore with ease starts slipping down their face, not because you exposed them, but because they could no longer hold it together without your steady presence shielding the truth. That's when the first crack appeared. They built that mask to control the narrative. Smooth on the outside, hollow underneath, a careful disguise shaped to convince everyone that nothing was wrong. But disguises demand maintenance. And when you walked away, they lost their audience. Without you standing close, their performance lost its anchor. They tried to pretend nothing changed, tried to keep the edges firm. Yet the moment they were alone, the surface began to pulse, and every pulse carried a reminder of what they tried to hide. Your absence didn't just unsettle them. It fractured the entire structure they depended on. They once leaned on your patience to keep their flaws out of sight. But with you gone, the mask felt heavier, their breath shorter, their confidence thinner. They felt the weight of their own choices pressing from beneath the surface. Every crack whispered something they didn't want to hear, something about truth slipping through, something about consequences catching up. They heard it, even if they pretended not to. They tried to fix it, tried to adjust their expression, tried to keep their voice steady. But masks don't respond to effort. They respond to honesty. And honesty was the one thing they couldn't bring themselves to face. So the cracks grew, tiny at first, then bold, then so obvious they couldn't look in a mirror without feeling the tremor of their own reflection. They weren't afraid of being unmasked. They were afraid of seeing themselves without the mask at all. You didn't need to confront them. You didn't need to point or accuse or raise your voice. The truth didn't require your hands. It required time. And time has a sharp way of peeling layers. Slowly, silently, inevitably. By the time they realized what was happening, the mask they depended on had split down the center. Not shattered, just open enough for the truth to breathe. And that opening revealed more than any argument ever could. There's a peculiar chill that fills a room when your name slips into it, without you being there. A hush, a shift, a tightening in the air that no one wants to acknowledge. Your absence didn't silence the conversation. It redirected it. They spoke your name quietly, as if it carried weight they weren't prepared to hold. And every time it landed on the table, it brought their hidden tension with it. You weren't present, yet your shadows stretched farther than their comfort allowed. You became a topic they avoided with forced smiles, a presence that haunted their smallest exchanges. They pretended not to notice the discomfort rising in their throats when someone mentioned you. But the truth surfaced anyway, because your name reminded them of the choices they made, choices they hoped would vanish, choices they hoped wouldn't follow them. Yet here it was, circling the room like a reminder that refused to be dismissed. Your influence didn't fade when you stepped away, it grew. Strange how distance sharpens impact. Strange how your silence made them more aware of you than your presence ever did. They replayed your reactions in their mind. They questioned what you knew. They wondered how much their concealment revealed about them. And every thought tightened the grip of your name around their conscience. You weren't there, but they felt watched anyway. They tried changing the subject quickly, tried redirecting conversations whenever your name surfaced. Too fast, too forced. And that speed exposed them because people don't rush past harmless subjects. They rush past truths that graze their nerves. They feared the memory of your clarity, the calm in your eyes, the silence that felt heavier than confrontation itself. So your name became a quiet test, one they failed every time their voice cracked. Your presence took shape in places you never stepped foot in. It wove through their interactions, lingered in their hesitation, showed up in the way they adjusted their tone when someone asked about you. That's influence they never intended to give you. Influence you earned without speaking a word. Influence born from the truth they hoped you'd never uncover. And every whisper of your name carried a weight they struggled to lift. So understand this. You didn't need to enter the room to shake it. You didn't need to stand among them to be felt. Your impact moved ahead of you, quiet, sharp, uninvited. And while they tried to pretend otherwise, your name echoed louder each time. Not because you chased it, but because the truth you left behind demanded to be heard. There's a moment when the load someone hands you suddenly slides back toward them. Not because you pushed it, not because you fought, but because the weight they assigned wasn't meant for your shoulders in the first place. They tried to place their actions on you like a burden you didn't earn. Thought you'd carry it quietly, thought you'd bend under it. But here's the twist. The weight recognized its true owner, and it returned to them with more force than they expected. They assumed you'd take the blame. They counted on your calm, your steady breath, your ability to endure without complaint. So they piled on stories, explanations, subtle twists, meant to shift responsibility away from themselves. But weight has a memory. It knows who placed it. It knows who deserves its pressure. And the moment you stepped away, the balance corrected itself. Slowly at first, then sharply, until they felt the full impact of what they tried to pass off. Your silence didn't save them, it revealed them. They mistook your lack of reaction for weakness. But silence doesn't mean surrender. It means you refuse to entertain a distortion. So the burden they crafted hung in the air with no place to land except back on the hands that shaped it. They felt it settling, pressing, heavy enough to disrupt their sleep, persistent enough to shadow their thoughts. Weight becomes a teacher when you ignore its warnings. They tried to ignore the pressure, tried to straighten their posture as if nothing was slipping. But the truth underneath their actions kept tugging, and every time they tried to hide it, the load tightened around them. They moved slower, spoke softer, carried tension in their shoulders they couldn't disguise, because the weight wasn't just physical. It was the realization that their choices had finally circled back. And this time, there was no one else to hold it for them. For them, you didn't retaliate. You didn't strike. You didn't point fingers. You simply refused to carry. what wasn't yours. And that decision shifted everything. The burden returned home. The pressure found its rightful target. And the person who tried to shape your image ended up wrestling with their own. That's the irony they never saw coming. The moment they tried to place you beneath them was the moment they stepped under the weight themselves. Silence has a pulse, if you know how to feel it. A rhythm beneath the calm. A pressure coiled just tight enough to unsettle anyone trying to predict your next move. They saw your quiet and mistook it for retreat. Thought you shrank, thought you softened. But silence isn't surrender. Silence is the moment before a blade of truth cuts through all the noise. The pause that makes the unprepared flinch, because they sense something coming and they can't trace its shape. You didn't shout. You didn't rush to explain. You let the empty space around you do the speaking. And that space grew heavier each day. They waited for your reaction like someone waiting for a door to slam. But nothing came. Nothing except your steady absence. And that quiet was louder than any confrontation could ever be. It wrapped around them, tightened, exposed the thoughts they tried to suppress. Silence pressed against their nerves until they felt every misstep they tried to deny. Your calm wasn't a weakness. It was a calculation. Silence allowed you to see the patterns, the motives, the twisting of truth they hoped you'd swallow without question. While they scrambled to control the narrative, you listened, observed, stored every detail without lifting a finger. Silence sharpens perception. And once you start seeing clearly, you become unpredictable. That unpredictability made them uneasy, made them hesitate, made them rehearse explanations you never asked for. They expected you to react with noise, with emotion, with the kind of response that would make it easier to deflect. But you gave them nothing. Nothing but the stillness that forced them to confront themselves. They tried filling the silence with excuses, tried softening their actions with half-minded phrases. But silence doesn't negotiate. It reflects. And in that reflection, their own behavior stared back at them with no place to hide. The truth has found its place. They hid their shame. You rose anyway. Silence became your weapon. Absence became your power. Every move they made only revealed themselves. You didn't fight. You simply existed. And in that existence, you were vindicated. Step forward, quiet, sharp, unshakable. Did they really think you'd stay quiet? That fire burning, that rage they think they buried. They doubted you, laughed at you, called you weak, told you you'll never rise. Listen up. If you've ever been pushed aside, ignored, treated like nothing, this one's personal. You're about to see the truth, raw, unfiltered, the kind nobody dares to tell. They told you you were nothing, a shadow that barely existed, and you believed it for a while. You walked through their laughter, their whispers, their smirks, thinking maybe you were broken, maybe the world was right. But here's the truth. Everything they stole from you is alive now. It pulses. It waits. It's itching under your skin. It's the fire they never wanted you to have. And guess what? Fire doesn't ask permission. It doesn't beg. It burns anyway. Look into the mirror. Really look. Not at the face you plastered with smiles or the mask they trained you to wear. Look at the edges, the cracks, the places where their words cut deep. See them. They are your currency now. Every insult, every shove, every time they said you couldn't, that was their mistake. Because pain is a tool, and you've been given the perfect one. Use it, twist it, make it sing, make it sharp, make it yours. Do you remember the first time someone laughed at your dreams? That sharp little echo in your chest that said you don't belong? They thought it would stop you. They thought you'd crumble. How quaint. You didn't just survive it. You carried it, you stored it, like a ticking bomb in the hollow of your ribs. And one day, oh, one day, they'll hear it. They'll feel it. The tremor before the quake. And by then, you won't be a whisper. You'll be the storm. They made you small. They boxed you. They drew lines you weren't allowed to cross. And you learned to see through the lines, to find the gaps, the cracks, the hidden doors. And now, every betrayal, every slight, every no they handed you, it's a key. You hold the keys. They don't even know the locks exist yet, but you do. You see the paths they never dreamed you could take. Paths that twist, paths that burn, paths that leave them scrambling in your shadow. Do you feel it? That sick little thrill curling in your gut? That's the sound of power they never intended to give you. It hums, it bites, it whispers secrets only the wounded understand. The deeper the scar, the sharper the edge. And theirs? They think scars are shame. You know better. Scars are strategy. Scars are fuel. Scars are laughter. Cold, sharp, delicious, and they're all yours. So smile, just a little. Not for them, not to soften the blow. Smile because you've been hiding in plain sight, watching, learning, counting. And now every move they make, every look they give, every word they whisper, it belongs to you first. They set the stage. They thought they wrote the lines. But the truth is you've always been writing your own play. And the first act was betrayal. You were handed a sickness at birth, not in your blood, not in your bones, but in the way they taught the world to see you. Every glance that ignored you, every smile that turned away, every word that clipped your wings before you even knew how to fly. They designed it perfectly. A slow poison, invisible, unstoppable in its quiet cruelty, and you drank it anyway, or so they thought. But here's the delicious twist. Poison can be a weapon if you learn the taste, if you learn the rhythm, if you let it crawl through your veins and whisper, yes, you can use me. That's the secret they never saw. That's why you're still standing. That's why you feel the tremor inside, the one that laughs at caution. You are the patient who became the plague, and they have no idea what's coming. Every rule they set, every you cannot and you will fail, was not a cage, it was a map to everything they feared. Every moment of condescension, every time they looked down, it marked a path, and you walked it, blind, but awake, hungry, learning. Every slight a lesson, every sneer a code. They thought they were shaping you. They were only sharpening you. The world they built is fragile. Tiny cracks hidden under polite smiles, under polite systems, under polite lies. And in those cracks, You are the earthquake waiting to erupt. They trained you to obey, to shrink, to hide. But obedience? Oh, obedience is boring. And hiding? That's just preparation. You've been waiting, silent and patient, watching the perfect moment to strike. And when it comes, they won't even see the strike coming. The rage inside you is not random, not reckless. It is calculated. It is strategy. It is a fire born of years of being dismissed, overlooked, underestimated. And every spark feeds another. Every memory of being told not enough becomes fuel. You're a machine wound tight with injustice, and the only release is the brilliance of turning it into power. Pure, ruthless, undeniable. So embrace it. This sickness, this cursed gift, let it curl in your gut and in your veins. Let it sharpen your vision, heighten your senses, sharpen your teeth. Every weakness they planted becomes a weapon. Every injustice becomes your symphony. And when they ask how you survived, when they ask how you rose, smile, smile, and let them guess. Because they'll never know, never understand. And that is exactly how you win. The part of you they told to hide, that's the part that can't be tamed, the part that whispers when no one is listening, the part they call dangerous, unfit, unacceptable. That's your weapon. Every thought they branded dark is the key to becoming brighter than anyone they ever let in the light. They wanted you small, invisible, polite. You want the opposite. You want the storm. Do you feel it stirring? That cold, delicious thrill crawling along your spine? That's the shadow answering. Lean into it. Let it guide your hands, sharpen your eyes, quicken your mind. Fear. Turn it inside out. Anger. Mold it. Hate. Channel it. All the things they told you were weaknesses are the things they should have feared. And you're finally awake enough to use them. Masks. You've worn them. Smiles that didn't reach your eyes. Words that sounded hollow but kept the peace. Politeness that disguised your fury. But the mask is a joke now. You don't hide. You manipulate. You strike when they expect calm. You smile when they brace for disaster. You own the gap between what they see and what you are. And oh, the look on their faces when they realize it. Priceless. Every shadow has a shape. Every dark thought, a purpose. The world is a stage for the brave and the clever. And cleverness often looks like madness. Let them wonder. Let them doubt. Let them fear the shadow they never understood. Because inside it, you are free. Free to think. Free to act. Free to burn through the rules, the lies, the cages they built. The shadow is your playground, your weapon, your throne. Pain lives here too, in the corners, in the edges, in what you've tried to ignore. And it's beautiful. Every memory of being small, dismissed, laughed at, it is your teacher. It tells you what to avoid. It tells you what to strike first. It teaches patience. It teaches cruelty disguised as strategy. Embrace it. Make it yours. Learn the rhythm of the darkness. Dance with it. Silently, deliberately. And when they look at you expecting compliance, expecting weakness, expecting fear, they see nothing. Only shadows shifting. Only sparks that hint at fire beneath. They don't know the storm you carry. They cannot see the plans forming in the silence, in the corners of your mind, where the shadow speaks. Smile, just a little, and let them wonder, because the moment they think they understand, you strike. Every hand extended to help, every smile offered, every word of trust me is a chain, invisible, tight, waiting. And they think you're blind. They think you're naive. They think you'll dance to their tune. How quaint. The truth is, you've been watching, counting, learning, waiting for the moment to cut the strings. And oh, the look on their faces when they realize it, exquisite. Control is a game, and they played it thinking they were winning. Every rule, every expectation, every manipulation, they thought it was theirs. But manipulation is a language, and you speak it fluently. You've watched the subtle glances, the soft lies, the careful nudges. You've memorized their patterns. You've learned to anticipate their moves. And now you will decide the rhythm. They want obedience. They want compliance. They want the quiet, polite version of you. But chaos. Chaos is always louder. Chaos is always smarter. And you've been honing it, hiding it, feeding it, until it's sharp, precise, ready. They are marionettes in a play they didn't write. And you are the hand they never saw coming. The thrill is in the anticipation, watching them think they control the story while knowing you are the author. Every slight, every glance, every whispered comment, it is ammunition. It is information. It is power. They may never know when the tide will turn, but oh, you can smell it. Every weakness, every desire, every crack in their armor, waiting for the perfect strike. The world is full of puppeteers, hidden, subtle, dangerous, but every one of them has a blind spot. Everyone. And your job? No, your art is finding it, learning it, exploiting it. You are no longer a pawn. You are the player, the one who sets the rules while they squirm under the illusion of control. And it tastes delicious. Smile, just a little. Let them think they are safe. Let them believe they understand. Let them strut and preen while you remain patient, silent, calculating. And when the moment comes, when the strings snap, they will finally see. The puppeteers were never in control, and you were laughing in the shadows the whole time. They fed you stories, pretty stories, stories meant to tame you. Heroes carved from empty promises, leaders built on hollow words. They expected you to kneel before illusions, but illusions crumble the moment you stare too long, and you have stared long enough to see the cracks. Every false idol they handed you was a cage wrapped in shiny colors, a picture of what you should be, how you should act, where you should stand. But you were never meant for their script. You were meant to tear through it, to expose the rot beneath the surface, to show how shallow their standards were the entire time. Break them, quietly, intelligently. Let their rules fall like old dust. Let their expectations collapse under your footsteps. You owe them nothing. Not 1 ounce of loyalty to the standards that once suffocated you. Your rise begins the moment you refuse their labels, and your strength begins the moment you choose your own shape. Pain changes you, sharpens you, shapes you into something they never predicted. They thought it would break you. They hoped it would silence you. Instead, it became a ledger in your mind. Every hurt recorded, every slight documented. And now, each memory is worth more than any comfort they ever offered. Pain teaches, harshly, quietly, without mercy. It shows you who is real and who only pretends. It strips away your softness until only strategy remains. You learn the art of patience. You learn the value of waiting. And slowly, you realize every wound was an investment in the person you were meant to become. They fear those who master pain. Fear those who can carry it without folding. Fear those who use it rather than run from it. And you have learned to turn every scar into leverage, every memory into insight, every blow into fuel. Pain is not your enemy anymore. Pain is your currency, and you spend it with precision. They laughed at you. Not once, not twice, 1,000 times, and every laugh was a lesson wrapped in venom. But here's the truth. Laughter has teeth, sharp, precise, and every time they laughed, they fed the part of you that would rise beyond them. You heard it. You stored it. You smiled quietly while it built inside, ready. The world expects the polite version of you, the version that nods, that smiles, that obeys. But chaos is the tongue of the clever. It slips through cracks. It bends rules without breaking them. You speak it fluently now. You whisper it in every glance, every step, every silent calculation. Let them wonder. Let them fear. Confidence isn't born from safety. It's born from knowing the world wants to break you, and still choosing to strike first. You are a storm they never trained for. Every step, every thought, every quiet plan is a message. You decide the rhythm now. And when they finally look up, expecting order, they see only brilliance shaped by madness, and it burns them. You were broken. Not by chance, not by accident. Every fracture in your life was a blueprint. Every betrayal a hammer shaping the edges of something stronger, sharper, more alive than you were before. You stared into the abyss, and it stared back. And in that reflection you found a version of yourself they never imagined. Resurrection isn't polite. It doesn't ask permission. It burns. It claws. It rises from ash and silence, demanding attention. And you rise like that. Every moment of doubt, every memory of failure, every whisper that told you not enough, you turn it into fuel, into power, into precision, into the unrelenting force that now walks among them. Look at yourself. Really look. Not the mask, not the shadow you hid behind, the real you. The one forged by pain, sharpened by rage, perfected in silence. That person is alive, hungry, intent, and unstoppable. In the way that leaves everyone else scrambling to keep up, your resurrection is complete, and they are only just beginning to notice. They think power is loud, flashy, announced with words and gestures. They are wrong. True power lives in silence, in patience, in watching while the world scurries like mice, blind to the predator in the shadows. And you have been the predator all along, waiting, learning, planning. Every unnoticed glance, every overlooked movement, every small victory they missed, it compounds, it builds, it sharpens. The world underestimates quiet strength. They always do. And that's where you strike. Not with noise, not with chaos, but with precision, with timing, with a force they never saw coming. The roar is unheard until it shatters everything. The weight of it, the inevitability of it. And when it hits, oh, they will feel it. Every misstep they ever forced upon you. Every slight, every ignored warning. Every time they thought you were beneath them. That's when your power speaks, and the world finally listens. And here we are, the end, but only for now. You survived the chaos, felt the fire, stared into the mirror of your pain, and still rose. Yeah, you, the ones who were doubted, dismissed, ignored, you proved them wrong. That's legendary.